bisect the graph approximately in the middle of the graph. That is, the biological resolution is the link between the large and the small. You are the event horizon, loosely termed. And you are the data transfer boundary from the extremely large to the extremely small. Isn't that what you do? You gather information and transfer it to your internal self, which in this view has infinite boundary potential. Thus, you're transferring that information through your boundary to the infinite of the universe within yourself. And as you start to see yourself grow into that world, your worldview, your way of being in the universe, the way you are, how you are, completely changes. Because you start to see the importance of your observation. You start to see the importance of your interpretation of the field and what you are feeding the universe. Instead of seeing yourself as an insignificant little dot that means nothing to the universe, you start to see yourself as the center of creation. Now, you might think that's arrogant. I think I've heard something along those lines from the new Pope or something. But I would like to say that if you have come to these conclusions, you must have come to these conclusions finding out that everyone else is the center of their universe as well. And thus, we are all equal and we're all one. But beyond the philosophical views, the fact that the biology would fit on this graph, the fact that we could start to see the information feedback loop between the radiative side and the contractive side starts to open a whole new field of physics. For 20 years, and you know, I've been saying this for a long time, I've been saying that information doesn't just flow into black holes, but flows out of black holes as well. And I got in a lot of trouble for that. And it was nice to see that just recently, Stephen Hawking has made a public announcement that he now believes, after 15 years of refuting this, or 30 years of refuting this, that black holes have information radiating out, coherent information. Before, they only had Hawking radiation, which was thought to be generic and incoherent. So now this is actually coming to the forefront. It's very exciting for me because finally I feel like there is some support. It was very recently that these announcements were done, and as well, to me, it was clear a very long time ago that if this was true, then the center of all galaxies had to be black holes. So I predicted that, and then eventually they found that that was the truth, and although I got in a lot of trouble for saying that early, and so on. And so I start to see the infinite potential of everything present in everything. Okay, so now we've got divisions in the vacuum. What dictates those divisions? How is the vacuum structured? If the vacuum is divided in very specific ways, then it must have very specific division structure. Then the vacuum has structure. How can that be? And what would be the structure? I wanted the key to the equation of vacuum division. I wanted the key to the creation of these boundaries. Because if I knew the key, then I could create one of those boundaries. Now, let's go back in time a little bit, and I'm in high school, and I'm not doing so good. I'm still not doing so good in the educational system, and it's funny because my father worked with Piaget and is well-respected, child psychologist and so on, and he had all sorts of trouble with me, and at the age of 16, I'm done with the whole thing, and if I have to live doing something else, then that's what I'm going to do. And I decided, since I was a good skier, to become a ski instructor. I was in Alberta at the time, and then eventually in BC, in Canada. And I'm getting tired of it because I'm freezing every day. And I'm tired of freezing every day. And I want to do something else than sit on a cold chairlift. So at the end of one season, I decide, listen, I'm a good scuba diver. Maybe I should try teaching scuba diving in the summer so I don't freeze all year round. So I opened the map and I just pointed. And my finger landed on this island called Isla Mujeres off the coast of Cancun in Mexico. I pulled out my English-Spanish dictionary and translated Isla Mujeres, and it said Island of the Women. And so I was a ski instructor, so I was like, oh, I'm there, So I got to Isla Mujeres and I started teaching scuba diving, and I'm having a good time, and I get a few days off, and it's like, okay, let's go and visit, ancient sites and stuff, something. So I get out there in the buses with the pigs and the chicken and everything, and I'm going through the jungle, and then I come upon these pyramids, Chichen Itza, just out of the jungle, these huge pyramids sticking out. Freaky. And I, went and visit, and so I'm taking pictures of the pyramid, and I climb up the stairs, and, at the top is shaded, so I'm happy to get there, and I'm sitting in the shade, and I'm kind of doing a little meditation, try to feel something. And I hear, tour guide coming up and with tourists. And I'm listening to what he's saying in the background. And he's talking about how these people move these stones from the quarries that are miles away across the mountains and down and so on, and then brought those stones and put this pyramid together, and how they use copper tools to carve it and all this stuff. I'm listening to all this, and it's freaking me out because it's like, I remembered the lessons I had at school about antiquity and so on, and the pyramids of Egypt and so on, and how improbable those theories seemed to me. But, I'm listening, and he's talking about cutting stones with copper tools. I know that copper doesn't cut stone and so on. And I'm having a really hard time with this whole thing because I'm looking at the dense jungle around me, and I'm like, wow, how did they get those rocks here? And then he talks about how precise this pyramid is and how it's aligned to the solstice, so that when the shadow hits the corner of the pyramid on that very specific day, it casts a shadow that generates the body of a snake going down the stairs with the head of the snake carved at the end. I've got a pretty good notions of engineering and astronomy and so on, because I've done a lot of study in that, independent studies. And I'm listening to this, and I'm thinking, whoa, man, this is not easy. You can't just whip that out. Or you can't, you can't just have the pyramid built and then, like, on the right day, just get Joe to pick it up and align it. Little bit to the left, Joe. That doesn't work. Can't do that. So I'm listening to this and I'm kind of confused, but I'm interested. And then I start to think, well, wait a minute, I'm looking for a fundamental structure of creation, and there's these buildings, these pyramids everywhere around the world. And I'm thinking, well, why are they all building pyramids? Why did the Egyptians, the Mayans, the Incas, all these people are building pyramids? What's with pyramids?